Hello everybody and welcome back to Space Engineers. Recently we hosted the Cargo Ship Challenge in the Lunar Colony Discord server, where participants were tasked with creating their own cargo vessels with very loose rules as to get the most exciting creations possible. Entries will be judged on 3 factors: visuals, world building and gameplay. No mods were allowed. We have some fantastic entries to go through here, so let's get started. In service of the Independent Industries Shipyard Corporation, the Solace Anchor is one of many workhorses in its logistics fleet. Able to handle material and small craft transfers, she has been a valuable asset to I&I for years. Even though she is a newer model, she retains the familiar feel of the cargo ships of old. Starting off really strong with this one, very nice design overall I have to say. I think it's a good, well-rounded ship. There's loads of internal hangar space. It's also modular, so you can fit cargo containers, vessels. You can probably put people in there if you want to as well. So very nice cargo storage areas. It also handles very well, so good flight characteristics. Obviously unladen. Laden, it's going to suffer a little bit, but very strong forward thrust. And we've also got good gyro control as well, thanks to some of the Prototech blocks within. Something I noticed with this was very high level of attention to detail. Bro's got the repping the merch in a few different locations on this ship, which is big respect. I think some of the drawbacks I'd say is the lore is nice and it's succinct. I probably would have liked to have seen a little bit more. The interior is also pretty cramped. I know it's to make the most of the space, but it can be a little bit difficult to navigate in my opinion. And we also do have a little ion tug drone which is docked on the bow on the dorsal side, which is very nice. The small grid gone wild train. I think the first thing that stands out to me is that this is a train. We know it's not a bad thing. I think the detailing across the entire hull is fantastic. It's a very unique build. I think, straight off the bat, no one else has done a train, so nothing to compare it to. It's also modular. Obviously, you can interchange the cars and sort of customize it to carry what you would like. You've got fuel, passengers. You can also carry like crafts, so there's a lot you can do with this. I think some of the drawbacks, it's quite impractical compared to the other methods obviously. Long setup time, but then it would pay for itself I guess. The driving is a little bit finicky in my opinion, and it's also planet bound, but obviously it's a train. So yeah, I wasn't expecting a train, and I haven't seen that many trains in Space Engineers, so I've not really got too much to say about it, but it was an extremely cool thing to actually try. I think I've actually used a train before, so it was really cool to get stuck in and give it a go, and a very interesting, well-detailed build indeed. We've got a very sleek design, strong profile and colour scheme going on here. I'd say I definitely like how clean and straightforward the interior is. It's very easy to navigate. The hull design is also beautiful. The detailing on there is fantastic as well. We've got lovely areas of greeble, and it really blends the ship together very nicely. The cargo storage is also excellent for its size. We've got plenty of storage space on board. I'd say some of the drawbacks is there's no real obvious storytelling going on with this ship, and there's also nothing massively unique. I think it's just a solid all-round ship for if you want a solid all-round freighter. This is the best ship to go with. It's quite easy to build, looks good, carries a lot of stuff, it's got a good interior. It's just a well-rounded ship in my opinion. A common sight on well-travelled intergalactic space routes and found at almost any harbour across known space, the Coho-class container ship was one of the first non-military vessels to feature a fully self-contained jump drive. The Coho's introduction into commercial fleets marked the beginning of a new age of intergalactic trade. The age of massive jump drive ferry ships which carried other cargo vessels from system to system, and a slow, sublight, super heavy hauler class began to fade, replaced by newer, sleeker, faster, and more efficient vessels like the Coho. The ability for an individual cargo ship to perform its own jumps whenever it needed allowed for greater freedom of trade, no longer as tightly bound to common space routes as they were in the decades before. While the Coho has been outclassed by newer, larger and faster cargo ships, its role in galactic history as a pioneer of the modern age of trade has not been forgotten, and many Cohos are still seen in operation across the galaxy despite their age. Right, we've got some nice lore with this one, and also masses of of cargo storage space, which always helps. Lots of different explanations going on as to why this thing exists and what it's up to at the moment in the universe, which is also very nice. Also explains how it came into being and the impact that it had in the universe where it did come into being. I think the hull is very simplistic and sleek, looks very modern and crisp. I think I would have liked to have seen a bit more detail on the hull. I mean, it does look really good, but I'm not a fan of the sci-fi paint personally. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more indentation, maybe greeble going on, but it does work well with the ship. The interior is also pretty cramped and pretty small. The ship is basically just the back fifth, and the rest of it, as you can see from the hull, is basically just filled with cargo pods. But those cargo pods can also be modular as long as you use the same docking system. You can attach hydrogen tanks. I mean, you could probably attach ships as well, so you could pretty much, bulk carry any kind of cargo that you want. Another small grid gone wild with a absolutely stunning exterior. I have to say, the hull of this thing is absolutely beautiful. The design language, the detail and the paint is absolutely fantastic and must have taken an extremely long time to build. So you've got to appreciate that. We've got an emergency button inside, cool red alert system, which is nice, which also ejects the cargo, which are these 4 pods, 2 on the dorsal, 2 on the ventral side of the ship. It's quite unique, you don't see it too often. The forward thrust on this is also incredible, very blockade runner-esque thruster layout going on, but this does lead to a major thruster imbalance. You're probably better off doing a flip and burn in most instances. This thing would also be pretty expensive to produce due to all those prototype blocks in the back, and we also don't have a gravity generator on this one, which isn't a major setback as we weren't really looking at the survival aspect too much, but it is worth mentioning. But yeah, all round this is an absolutely stunning ship and must have taken a very, very long time to create. Elias Varn trudged through the dimly lit cockpit of his freighter, the Starsco, breathing deeply as he adjusted the docking thrusters. The station loomed ahead, a hulking lattice of steel and blinking lights, its docking bay yawning like a judgmental maw. Another day, another delivery, he grumbled, flicking a switch to align the ship's approach vector. Same old scrap heap, same old bureaucrats waiting to nitpick my manifest. Oh, Captain Varn, your cargo's 3 kilos off, like I'm out here smuggling neutronium for fun. The control panel hummed, its readouts flickering with the usual glitches. Elias slumped into his worn pilot's chair, the leather creaking under his weight. 15 years hauling across this godforsaken sector, and what do I get? A bunk that smells like coolant, and a coffee maker that's been broken since the Orion arm went corporate. He nudged the throttle, easing the freighter closer to the station. The proximity alarm beeped lazily, as if it too was fed up with the routine. Outside, the station's robotic arms extended, latching onto the freighter with a metallic thunk. Elias sighed, running a hand through his greying stubble. Elias tapped the console, pulling up the cargo manifest. Let's see, 500 tons of unrefined uranium. Again. The offloading process was mercifully quick. Elias leaned back, boots propped on the console, watching the station's crew through the viewport. Bet they're sipping real coffee in there, he muttered. not this recycled sludge I'm stuck with. Probably got a view of the nebula too. With the cargo gone, Elias prepped for departure. The station's clearance signal came through, and he punched in the coordinates for his next run. Hyperspace jump in 3, 2, 1. The freighter shuddered as the hyperdrive spooled up, the stars outside stretching into streaks of light. Elias exhaled, tension easing from his shoulders. Finally, some quiet. Just me, the void, and a shrill alarm blared, red lights flashing across the cockpit. Elias jolted upright, heart pounding. The hyperdrive status on screen screamed warnings. Core instability detected. Critical failure imminent. "Oh, come on," he shouted, slamming a fist onto the console. "You've got to be kidding me." So we've got some excellent lore with this one. Obviously, as you could tell by my extremely thrilling reading of it. It's very compact, very efficient, and it still manages to look good as well. It's got a very simple and effective exterior. It's got nice greeble and some exposed systems. We've got a very space efficient and nice interior as well. Now the story does technically end on a cliffhanger, which I'm going to mark as a negative. No, I'm joking. But it would be nice to know what happens next. I think the description does mention that it's also a little bit slow to fly. I mean, it's all ion thrusters. It is quite small, but once it's laden, it is going to be extremely slow. But other than that, lovely compact ship. In light of the recent revolutionary conflict that has emerged within the FTC, resulting in the fragmentation of the Confederation into 3 distinct nations, one of which is the new Earth Alliance, NEA, there is an urgent requirement for new freighters to serve both military and civilian sectors. The majority of existing freighters were constructed in regions now under the control of the Vulcanian National Republic, the former industrial stronghold of the FTC. Consequently, the NEA has resolved to revive the historical concepts of the FTC, integrating contemporary technologies and advancements in shipbuilding. We have a stacked ship, so this is another unique one with a very neat gradient paint scheme as well. I always like seeing these, I think they look really cool. It's got a very nice industrial hull design with great detailing, and you've got those straps on the side of the ship that almost make it look like everything's held within the hull. It's a very clean interior layout as well, which is easy to navigate, which helps. Don't normally get that on stacked ships. Normally they're a little bit more cramped, I'd say. I would have liked to have seen some further features on this ship in terms of, any sort of interactivity per se, or any advanced features. And the lore is also a little bit thin. It is present, but I think we could have got into a little bit more detail here and there. Overall, very unique ship. I like a stacked ship, and I love the gradient. Very nice. The MCF, or just medium cargo freighter, is a staple cargo hauler frequently seen soaring across the skies above both Frux and Ardor. It was originally an emergency concept from Cargo Haulers Incorporated, but put together from all the cargo rovers' designs and revamped to have thrusters and to be space capable. But after its first cargo run between Frux and Ardor, it was decided that, with a few safety additions and modifications, the design was good as is. The ship is designed to be able to carry up to 4 standardised large Frux cargo containers, which can be loaded/unloaded onto trains or cargo rovers upon reaching its destination for further, finer movement. It also carries a small rover bay, a remnant from the original large cargo rover design, which seldom sees use besides helping the pilot and cargo manager board or unboard during a storm. It's also been used a couple of times to help pick up stranded scrappers on Ardor while still saving their speeders as well. Got another very clean overall hull design here. For some reason, and I can't put my finger on it, maybe it's the large thrusters at the rear, sort of GR75 look, but this is very Star Wars-y to me. Very, very sort of Star Wars-esque, and I don't know why, but I can't get it out of my head. Anyway, I think we've got great interior detailing on this one. Very, very nice interior. The exterior is pretty simple, pretty straightforward, but it's also quite iconic and it's easy to recognise as well. The modular cargo system that's featured is brilliant. It means you can, obviously like the other ones, carry pretty much whatever you want. I do think that while it is nice and detailed, the interior is a little bit cramped and confusing to navigate. The lore was good as well. Probably wanted a little bit more on this one as well. The bow's also asymmetric, with the bridge being on the port side, which is a nice touch. I don't think we've got any that have been asymmetric so far. Wink wink. Often seen as a reliable civilian workhorse, the CX-2373 light freighter is an extremely prolific design within Almagest and the surrounding systems. This particular ship, known to her crew as the Fool's Errand, is a well-regarded and respected ship for hire. Oftentimes, the Fool's Errand takes on jobs no others will at an extreme discount, with the crew often just seeking out the greatest thrills. These operations range from risky medical rescues to hot dropping supplies to illegal insurgents in the farthest reaches of known space. Due to the dangerous nature of her missions, the Fool's Errand has been outfitted with twin turrets on the dorsal and ventral to fend off attacks, as well as improved armour and shields to bolster her defences. The CX-2373 may be a beloved ship, but the Fool's Errand is the most well known among them. We have another small grid gone wild. This one has some very interesting lore. I like the fact that they made it a single ship with a unique name. It's kind of got that Millennium Falcon-esque vibe to it. I'm going back to Star Wars again, but anyway, small grid gone wild, so we've got brilliant opportunities for excellent greeble on the exterior and the interior. Lots of detailing going on here, which looks fantastic. The world building with this ship and the whole idea about the crew thrill seeking and what have you is also very nice. And I'd say the shape is pretty unique as well. I mean, you see a few sort of Millennium Falcon-esque style ships here and there, but you don't see it too often. I think some of the drawbacks with this one that I have to give is the PCU count is pretty high, obviously with it being such a small ship, such a feature-packed small ship. You're going to see that. The cargo space is also a little bit limited, but the twin Gatling turrets, actually, I really like the custom twin Gatling turrets on the dorsal and ventral sides. I do like them. The Iron Mule was never meant to last this long. A rugged, extremely old expansion-era freighter when ships were made of thick plates, coarse welds, and now outdated systems. No one remembers what its designation name was. The current nickname originated from one of the previous owners, who was quoted as saying, "She doesn't sprint nor gallop, she limps and kicks like a damned mule made of iron, pipes and bad decisions." Over the decades, the Iron Mule has been bolted, welded and patched so many times, its hull resembles a quilt of rusted alloys and mismatched metals from 5 different centuries. Nevertheless, it has been cared for by its latest owner and given a half-decent paint job. There are scorch marks on the interior from past engine fires and failures, barely patched. The corridors smell of old blood and oil and stale air. The twin reactors can barely keep the ship going and tend to backfire under heavy loads, sending sparks into the blackness of space. Originally meant to do a simple job, the Mule is still kicking after all these years. While it may not have all the bells and whistles of newer cargo ships with modular holds and diverse cargo types, it has yet to miss a delivery under its new ownership. Its outdated docking piston that pushes the front connector forward still works and lets it connect to non-standard docking setups. Featuring a small interior for 2 to 3 crew members, it has all the amenities needed for somewhat long voyages. The new solar panels are a recent addition, meant to only provide power during emergencies. They say a ship takes on the spirit of her crew and past captains. If that's true, the Iron Mule has seen too many misfortunes and hard choices. She's a ship that's bled, cussed and clawed her way across the deep black. And she's not finished yet. What fantastic lore and world building. Honestly, that was really interesting to read. And it ties in so well with the ship as well. I mean, the ship goes hand in hand with the lore, and everything that you read is explained visually on the build. So very well done to Shiro for meshing those two together. It's definitely got that rugged and rough industrial feel You've got scaffolding on the exterior, ground down blocks, mismatched paint all over the place. Really speaking again to the lore, also resulting in the Greeble being absolutely fantastic on this one. I'm not sure what happened inside, but it sort of looks like someone's wiped their ass on the walls, and there's not really any interactive features, but overall the worn look and feel of the ship just blends so nicely with the lore that it's really immersive stepping into this and makes you feel like you're in that world. The fleet of the Force Mechanics grows, but bigger ships mean more fuel consumption. Because they needed an easy way to get it to the front lines, they came up with the Brevis gas freighter, a medium-sized freighter with large hydrogen tanks, a jump drive, a hangar with 2 fighters, and 4 assault cannons so it can take the role of a frigate or carrier as soon as its fuel tanks are emptied. The engineers took a lot of inspiration from the Orville exploration craft for its colour and rough design. It can operate on a minimum of 3 people, but works best when it's a full crew of 5 people, which it can also accommodate. It's a very interesting hybrid setup. I've not really seen it before actually, now that I think about it, but you've got a freighter which delivers its fuel and then turns into almost an assault carrier or frigate with the firepower that's on board. So it's a very interesting idea. The interior is very spacious and large on this. I like the lore writing, and again, an interesting idea of that sort of hybrid, warship and supply ship. It can also carry crafts, which is very nice. I would say that the hull design has a few rough edges overall. Could do with a bit of smoothing and a bit of indentation and greeble added to the hull. It does have a drop hanger though, so Omega will be extremely happy with that. I'll try and not let him know about that. As it was for many other factions under the umbrella of the McDonald's megacore, the Hamburglar Heresy was a wake-up call for the SSC and its overall approach to waging war. At the outbreak of the Heresy, SSC had just begun introducing the Corvid-class gas tanker, a small ship that would go on to serve with distinction throughout the war. Despite the effectiveness of the Corvids, the limitation of using small tankers to supply fleets became a glaring issue as the war pressed on. Notably, fuel supply issues were one of many compounding issues that led to the fall of the Severin sector, with large ships such as the IPR Mammoth unable to move under their own power for extended periods. The situation became so dire that SSC engineers began studies on how to build a far larger tanker to better supply fleets like those in the Severin campaign. While the war ultimately ended with a narrow MiG-Megacorp victory, before these designs were finished, general design requirements finally agreed on what would be best to form the basis of the Manifesto class. This definitely looks like it was inspired by the MCRN. I would be very surprised if it wasn't. I'm talking about the MCRN from The Expanse. If you guys haven't seen it, I recommend you go and check it out. We have a cat smoking a stoogie inside, which is an interesting feature. But the interior is clearly labelled and it does look pretty good. There's some lore data pads that are strewn throughout the ship as well. The exterior is quite simple and effective, if a little bit bland. Again, maybe some indentation, a bit of greeble here and there, could go a long way. And I know I joke about exposed hydrogen tanks, but holy shit, it's basically a nuclear bomb on the back of this thing. And we have something going on with McDonald's here, I don't know. The Sternfall class cargo vessels are mid-sized quad-engine cargo vessels developed for the world's Commonwealth and allies. It uniquely stands out due to its military-grade status and is designed to be used by the Commonwealth Sternenflotte. It is equipped with military heat sinks, armoured decking, and advanced sensor arrays. Additionally, it can be modified for military roles in the backlines, such as carrying missiles or military logistics. The Sternenfall carries a capital-grade reactor, allowing for future upgrades or augments to the design. As for the crew of the Sternenfall, it's a smaller crew of only 850 people, making it heavily automated. Bro is trying to melt my computer. This thing is absolutely enormous, and I can't even begin to imagine how long this took. It's a enormous hull, loads of surface area on this thing, but it's very, very well detailed considering that. I mean, the interior is just... You've got to spawn this in if you can run it. I was lagging pretty heavily, but there's a very vast interior present here. There's some empty rooms as well, which is understandable for, customization and things like that. But yeah, very, very large interior space. It can probably carry the equivalent of every single thing you have ever assembled in Space Engineers. I think the only drawbacks I'd say is it's not really in-game practical, and the performance is impacted a little bit, but it does have a gooning lounge, so bonus points. Captain Haddocker asked me if I'd ever done the Protean run before, and I had to admit I hadn't. He tells me it's not everyone's favourite assignment, but I guess I didn't expect a luxurious position after what happened on Callisto. Maybe in a way I'm lucky. After that chewing out I expected not to see the inside of a starship again. I don't have my own quarters, but it's just me and the captain, so I can still get some peace and quiet if needed. It's a 9-day run, and we've been instructed not to use comms because of pirates. Not only that, but we're doing it on a bounder too. It makes me nervous. This old workhorse doesn't have a reactor, so if we have to decelerate, we're stuck here till a nukie comes by. I asked the captain about the pirates, but he didn't seem worried. Actually, I got some weird vibes from him. He smirked when I asked. Seems a bit cocky, but I suppose he's got more experience out here than I do. By the time you get this, I'll have made it to Pertam and been able to transmit it. I guess that means I'm alive, so don't worry about me, okay? I'll see you in 9 more days. The Ibex is, as is said in the name, a trans-atmospheric freighter. For years, it ran the Protean Canal, a maintained NLS transit route between the cradle of humanity, Earth, and the frontier planet of Pertam. Its cargo capacity relative to its size isn't tremendous, but this is because it actually lands on planets as opposed to being unloaded in stable orbit. It has a crew of 2, but other than landing and takeoff, the journey is largely automated. The Ibex is also capable of transporting quite a bit of bulk cargo in its large loading bay, though this more often than not houses support craft. The entire ship is pressurised, and the ship has decent production capabilities. If something catastrophic were to happen to any of its jump drives, it would be in trouble, but it can keep the rest of itself in good working order. Rovers as well as the crew can be brought aboard using either the starboard or port boarding ramps, though there is a second airlock directly behind the bridge structure on the dorsal side of the ship. The Ibex can also help in salvage operations thanks to the 2 enormous magnetic grippers on the front of the ship. The extending connectors located just above also help transfer fuel between its own tanks and other large vessels. Travelling from registered port to registered port means you always have the eye of the DOTS, Department of Transportation Standards, watching over you. Many deep space freighters get away with mounting some weapons since they so rarely visit reputable ports, but not the Ibex. Nope, there are no weapons. None at all. ... This one is really unique profile and shape to start off with. I think overall it's a very immersive ship. I really do like the interior detailing that we've got going on here, as well as the lore. The lore's really cool. I really like the way that they wrapped everything together to bring this unique perspective to the ship. You've got obviously like the story section as well as the overview section in the lore. With the paint scheme and everything, it just ties it nicely. I think if I had to pick something, that the bottom is flat, like very flat, like it looks like that gorilla toy that people were squashing. But I do understand that that's for ground landings. I still think you could probably have done something with it. But there are hidden missiles on this thing, which is really cool. It was hinted not so subtly in the description that they were present, but very nice. I really like these. The Interstellar Heavy Lift Shuttle is an Interstellar Commerce Guild FTL capable shuttle, usually assigned to cargo duty for exploration and mining stations where things such as passengers, samples, specimens and other vehicles must be transported between a station and the various planetary bodies in the same star system. This particular shuttle, The HLS 6221979 Venture Star went missing after acquiring several fascinating specimens from in the system. Fortunately, you found it drifting in the void between star systems, making it your legitimate salvage. You're going to pointedly ignore the fact that the ICG deployed one of their cruiser squadrons on a search and destroy mission to find it. To you, that just means it'll be worth much more to the right buyer. Surely the ICG quarantined star system 2 light years away has nothing to do with your previous salvage. We've got another sleek and modern design. We've got the swept back wings looking very, very cool. We've got a specialised science transport that's gone wrong with a containment breach, which is very nice. We've got lore and data pads inside as well, telling the whole story, which makes the whole thing very immersive. And I like the little hole, the torn, it's almost like the shredded armour. Something's clawed out of it, or maybe it was a pressurization burst or breach. Either way, very nice detailing with the blocks. I think the hull, again, I've said it a few times, but it is just flat and quite bland. Maybe that was the goal. I would have liked to have seen some more detail anyway. I think the interior is pretty focused on the main story, opposed to, being an actual functional interior. But there's some cool blood splatters on the LCDs, which I really do like. Nice touch. So we've got a very neat idea with this one with the dropped support pods. Very, very cool. It can deliver cargo very quickly to atmospheric installations, so you don't even have to enter the atmosphere. You can just barely touch the gravity well, release these pods and they'll drop down, parachutes will open, and you can deliver a lot of supplies very quickly. So awesome thinking there in terms of functionality and gameplay. It also comes with repair and mining vessels, so it's self-sufficient, which is good. I think the interior is probably lacking a little bit. I would have liked to have seen some more rooms, let's like segment the big spaces within a little bit more. And personally, I'm not a fan of the paint scheme. I know it's very subjective, but I think the darker colours in Space Engineers have got that very messy texture, which I think is a bit reminiscent of like the older versions of the game, which I don't think look too good now. But yeah, I really do like the droppable pods. Very unique feature on this. It means that the time to deliver is massively shortened. The Canterbury was never intended to be a cargo ship. Originally, it started life as the second example of the Recluse-class missile frigate. Having an impressive service career, however, the Canterbury's luck ran out when it and its formation were engaged by an IoT scouting group. During the battle, it took heavy damage, including the loss of its jump drive. Eventually, it was towed back to a friendly port where repairs were initially planned but never took place. This was due to it being clear to the UMA that a large-scale battle was soon to take place, and the Canterbury was predicted to take weeks to repair. As such, it sat in a dry dock for the remainder of the war. Once the war had ended, UMA began a program to salvage a large portion of the Navy as they were critically short of resources. This included the damaged Canterbury, which, despite its long history, was towed to a scrapyard in Alpha Centauri, where it was predicted to be fully salvaged in 2 months. However, a lack of significant resource return meant the salvage was postponed continually to the point that after 6 months, the ship was roughly 10% salvaged. At this point, UMA began to face a new problem, a shortage of cargo ships. To solve this, many ships originally destined for salvage, including the Canterbury, were refitted into makeshift cargo ships and redeployed. The Canterbury received a skeletal frame on the forward port side and a new comm array, while keeping some of its remaining military hardware, such as an automatic alert system. Once a tool of destruction, the Canterbury now has a new lease of life, transporting vital cargo across the sector. The asymmetric design, I really like the idea of this, where it's a warship that was partially scrapped and then it was turned into a freighter. Very cool. We've got clear hard points from when it was a warship where you can put optional further firepower on it, cannons, turrets, whatever. The design language and detailing on this is actually, fantastic as well. I like how you can see the hull on the port bow where it's like torn. He's got this sort of torn, almost looks like it's been pulled apart. Obviously, I understand it's been partially salvaged in lore, but it looks really cool. And then you've got the skeletal part as mentioned with the comms array. So I really like the story behind why this ship looks like this. It meshes very well, if that makes sense. I think the only drawbacks that I can think to this one is there is no real major interactivity on board or anything particularly stand out from a gameplay perspective, but the story building and the aesthetics are top notch. After the success of their Endeavour-class shuttlecraft, Rain Industries looked to increase their portfolio and get into the private cargo delivery sector. The result was the RIS Adventurer-class small freighter, an entry-level cargo vessel. Its compact size and exceptional manoeuvrability quickly made the Adventurer class a favourite amongst not only fledgling cargo transport captains, but also for those who look to explore the fringes of space, as the rugged and simple construction of the Adventurer made it the perfect candidate for these kinds of tasks. The Adventurer class also find quite the success with the more shady elements of those travelling the stars, as smugglers often found the agility of the Adventurer as well as its jump drive capability made it perfect to outmaneuver and run from local authorities, giving the ship a somewhat mixed reputation. Nonetheless, Rain Industries is proud to present anyone with the credits to spare the Adventurer. A very clean and efficient design. I think this one has a lot of features packed into a very, very small vessel considering what's inside it. I think the interior is very impressive. You need to go check this out. I mean, it gets a lot done in a small space. So it's a very efficient and neat interior, which I like. The cargo bay is very cool as well. We've got lots of different features in there. You've got the ramp on the bow. You've got the double gates at the bottom. You've got the locking pad to lock loose cargo containers to as well. Really nice little cargo bay. The only thing is, I'd say that some containers would have been nice. I don't think it's got any cargo containers inside, actually. I know that the cargo bay is intended to store those containers, but you could probably do with some storage on the vessel itself as well. But yeah, as mentioned, boarding ramp, really nice too. I've not played the game, and I didn't even know the game was a thing until I saw this entry, so forgive me for not understanding the game. But I had a quick look, and it does indeed look like the ship that's in Star Trucker. It resembles the game well, so yeah. But it's also got plenty of jump range. It's got good cargo storage, and it's quick as well, thanks to the large hydrogen thrusters. And it's got that modular cargo system. Obviously, it uses trailers like a real lorry, so you can attach whatever kind of truck you want to the back of this thing, and it can pull it along very nicely. I think the colours are a bit much for me. I understand it's a replica from the game, but I think it's quite striking, and we've got no lore beyond what's from the game. The interior is quite nice though, quite a busy little compact interior, and manages to get everything done as well. The XRH-92 Muleback is a workhorse of the outer lanes, one of the last in a line of modular heavy lift freighters designed during the final days of the colonial expansion era. Built by the Grumman Yaw Systems nearly 80 years ago, the Muleback earned its name from the 17 reinforced magnetic cargo plates along its upper deck, rear deck and starboard side, each capable of anchoring everything from industrial mining gear to entire prefab settlement pods. Though long considered outdated by modern standards, its raw hauling power and easy to replace components make it a favourite among independent freight captains running the fringe routes. Captain Kirkland Thorne, a former Union Navy logistics officer turned freelance hauler, purchased the Muleback at a decommission auction after surviving a mutiny aboard a doomed relief vessel. With a reputation for grit and a no-nonsense leadership, Thorne pulled together a loyal crew of 10 seasoned spacers, mechanics, riggers, navigators, and a medic to take on the toughest, least regulated jobs in the sector. The Muleback now operates in the law-light stretches of the Pertam Reach, moving everything from deep core reactor parts to illicit terraforming arrays. Its vast cargo grid has made it a legend among haulers, and a target for pirates and corporate claim jumpers. But under Thorne's command, few dare challenge the Muleback. The old ship may groan and rattle, but like its captain, it refuses to break. Now this is a bulk freighter. There's an absolutely tremendous amount of cargo carrying capacity on this, well, just carrying capacity in general. The lore is well written and intriguing as well, really like the ideas behind it. It's got that sort of real world, unique sort of styling that looks like the modern container ships as well, which is nice. I think the only things I'd say is the interior is not really very large, the pressurized section of it, in terms of where the crew can go, and there's nothing really too interactive. A crane or a boom arm would have probably completed the ship. But overall, I mean, you've got an absolutely enormous fly-through cargo hold underneath. Plenty of space to lock whatever you want on here. You can lock ships, you can lock loose containers, you can lock wrecks. Pretty much whatever you want and carry it along. So it is well and truly a bulk freighter. One of Lecht Manufacturing's most common designs seen out in the trade lanes, the LM7 is a popular choice for independent captains taking contracts for vehicle transport. Featuring 2 large hangar bays on either side of the hull with offload-onload ramps at both ends, the model can facilitate rather rapid turnarounds for a vessel of its size. 2 Isocon-compatible mounting points on the dorsal surface extend the vessel's versatility in terms of cargo carrying, allowing the ship to take most types of freight in at least some capacity. An important thing for captains of the ship to keep in mind is its limited amenities. While acceptable for its intended crew of 4 to 8 spacers, it cannot support additional passengers for long periods of time. This does mean when transporting personal vehicles, the owners must entrust the supervision of their possessions to the crew for the duration of the voyage. Many LM7s running this kind of work will often sync their schedules to passenger liners capable of transporting the owners of the vehicles carried alongside their new destination. Otherwise, it will stick to more commercial or industrial transports. Mining and prospecting expeditions in particular make extensive use of LM7s, and it's not uncommon to see these ships co-opted by navies to use as landing craft during dire times. Great design with lots of different carrying options. You've got the hangars on both sides of the ship, where there's actually small connectors and large connectors present, so you've got a wide variety of different carrying capabilities there. You've also got ramps on the front and the back, so you can be loading new rovers in as you're loading the old ones out, or unloading, sorry. So very, very great use of internal space. The interior is pretty succinct and well done as well. I think we could probably do with a bit of a story going on. Like, this is a unique ship and tell a story from there, but the lore that is present is also very good. The scenario comes with a few cranes, rovers and containers which are attached to the ship, which is also really nice to put it into situ a little bit and have a look at and a bit of example of a diorama.